The strangest discoveries in Siberia that science can't explain. The Tunguska event. The day the sky exploded. On the morning of June 30th, 1908, a massive explosion rocked the skies over eastern Siberia, near the Patomskiy Tunguska River. An eerie flash, followed by an earth-shaking blast, flattened over 80 million trees across a staggering 2,150 square kilometers, an area larger than London. It became known as the Tunguska event. Despite the devastation, only 3 deaths were suspected, thanks to the region's sparse population. But what exactly happened? Scientists now believe a stony asteroid, roughly 50 to 60 meters wide, entered Earth's atmosphere at nearly 98,000 kilometers per hour. Instead of striking the ground, it detonated mid-air, exploding at an altitude of 5 to 10 kilometers, releasing an estimated energy of 3 to 30 megatons of TNT. To put that into perspective, a 15-megaton blast would be about 1,000 times more powerful than the first US nuclear test, Trinity. And yet, there was no crater. This absence has long puzzled scientists and fueled speculation. Some proposed that the explosion was caused by a comet. Others whispered about alien technology or even a mini black hole. But the prevailing theory remains: a high-altitude airburst from a space rock. One eyewitness, living 65 kilometers from ground zero, later described the moment the sky came undone. The sky split in two and fire appeared high and wide over the forest. It got so hot, I thought my shirt was on fire. I wanted to rip it off and throw it away. Then the sky closed and there was a loud bang. I was thrown through the air. I lost consciousness for a moment. The Tunguska Explosion remains the largest impact event in recorded human history. If it had occurred over a modern city, the destruction would have been catastrophic. On the Torino scale, which categorizes impact hazards, Tunguska is rated at level 8, an extremely rare and devastating event. To this day, the flattened forest and scorched soil of Tunguska are a chilling reminder of the raw, unpredictable power of the cosmos, and how fragile our place beneath the stars truly is. Russia's Valley of Death. In the far eastern edge of Russia lies the Kamchatka Peninsula, a frozen volcanic paradise blanketed in snow. From above, it looks like nature's own fireworks show. Smoking volcanoes, snow-covered peaks, and a land full of life. It's as breathtaking as it is rich in biodiversity, home to countless species of land, air, and sea. But hidden within this icy wonderland is a deadly secret. In a tiny valley, barely 0.4 square miles in size, animals enter, but they don't come out. As spring arrives and the snow begins to melt, animals like hares and birds wander in, lured by the promise of food and water, only to die shortly after. Then come the scavengers: wolverines, lynxes, foxes, eagles, and even bears, drawn in by the easy feast. One by one, they too collapse and die. This haunting area is known as Russia's Valley of Death, and it has claimed countless victims over the years. So what's really going on here? A deadly mix. The valley lies at the base of a volcano that quietly emits a toxic cocktail of gases: hydrogen sulfide, sulfur dioxide, carbon dioxide, and carbon disulfide. These invisible gases settle in the valley's low-lying area, a place where the wind doesn't blow strong enough to carry them away. The result? A natural death trap. Birds are the first to fall after drinking the poisoned river water. Then the scavengers follow, unaware of the danger, the invisible killer. Before scientists discovered the cause, the mass deaths appeared utterly mysterious. Dozens of corpses, no injuries, no bullet wounds, no signs of disease. It looked like something, or someone, had silently wiped them out. The mystery lasted until 1975, when Vladimir Leonov, a volcanologist with the Russian Institute of Volcanology and Seismology, identified the true cause: poisonous volcanic gases pooling in the valley like an invisible fog. But even with the science clearly established, unexplained stories and conspiracies continue to surround the area. According to Viktor Derjakin, Leonov's assistant, Soviet military helicopters once flew into the valley shortly after the phenomenon was reported. They collected strange samples, then left in a hurry, never sharing what they had gathered or what conclusions they reached. So what did they find? What was so urgent that they took off without a word? Maybe it was just science. Or maybe the Valley of Death holds secrets that go far beyond what we're allowed to know. The Batomskiy crater, also known as the Gateway to Hell. Deep in the Chersky Range of Russia's Sakha Republic lies a massive and mysterious scar on the Earth's surface, the Batomskiy crater, ominously nicknamed the Gate to Hell or the Gateway to the Underworld. This isn't your average sinkhole. The Batomskiy crater is the largest permafrost crater in the world. What started back in the 1960s as a small depression has now transformed into a gigantic gash, nearly 2/3 of a mile long and over 300 feet deep. And it's still growing at an alarming rate. Its name comes from the nearby Batomskiy River. But what caused this terrifying land collapse? It all began when the forest surrounding the area was cleared, exposing the permafrost below. As temperatures began to rise and the frozen ground started to thaw, the earth gave way. Heavy rainfall and seasonal flooding have only accelerated the crater's expansion. Paleontologists exploring the site have uncovered remarkably well-preserved fossils from the Ice Age, buried in the mud around the crater's edge. We're talking about ancient plant remains, prehistoric pollen, and the bones of long-extinct animals like woolly mammoths, musk oxen, and the rare Lena horse. But the edges of the crater are dangerously unstable. Constant thawing and frequent landslides are literally pulling the land apart. According to Mary Edwards, a professor of physical geography at the University of Southampton in the UK, this process isn't slowing down anytime soon. She explains that as the lower layers of frozen ground melt and collapse, more of the hillside is exposed to warm air, speeding up the thaw even further. It's likely the crater will consume the entire slope before it stops growing. Every year, as soon as temperatures rise above freezing, it starts again. Once exposed, it's almost impossible to stop. And the consequences go beyond Siberia. This gaping crater is exposing massive amounts of ancient organic carbon trapped in the frozen soil. Carbon that, as it's released into the atmosphere, could worsen global warming significantly. Drone footage captured in 2023 revealed just how fast this hellgate is expanding. Scientists warned that rising temperatures and increased human activity could lead to more mega landslides in the near future. Yet, for all its danger, the Batomskiy crater is also a scientific treasure. Layers of ancient earth are helping researchers piece together the region's climate history over the last 650,000 years. But the real question is, how much longer will this gateway keep growing? And what else might it reveal before it's done? The mystery of the Princess of Ukok, the Siberian Ice Maiden. Deep in the frozen steppes of Siberia, scientists made a discovery that would mystify the world. The mummified body of a woman over 2,400 years old. Locals call her the Princess of Ukok. But to archaeologists, she's known as the Siberian Ice Maiden. Her perfectly preserved remains were found in 1993, buried in a kurgan, an ancient burial mound, on the remote Ukok Plateau in Russia's Altai Republic. The burial site is part of the Pazyryk culture, a nomadic people who thrived in Siberia between the 6th and 2nd centuries BCE. But what made this discovery so remarkable? In 2012, her remains were transferred to a special mausoleum at the Republican National Museum. Even after thousands of years frozen in permafrost, her body was astonishingly intact. She had been buried in an underground wooden chamber, preserved by ice for millennia. Why do they call her a princess? While there's no hard evidence she was royalty, Her burial suggests high status. Inside her tomb, archaeologists found a coffin made from a single block of larchwood, beautifully decorated with leather carvings of deer motifs. Alongside her were two small wooden tables, shaped like trays, once used to serve food and drink in the afterlife. On those tables were offerings of lamb and horse meat, a banquet fit for someone important. Her elaborate burial, unique tattoos, and the richness of her tomb led researchers and locals alike to believe she held significant social or spiritual status, possibly even a priestess. But there's still so much we don't know. Who was she really? Why was she buried with such honor? And what secrets might she still be hiding beneath the ice? The exploding craters of Siberia. Climate change or something else? In 2014, a strange and massive crater appeared in the Russian Arctic, a jagged hole hundreds of feet wide, plunging into a dark abyss. It was only the first. Since then, over 20 craters have emerged across the remote tundra of Yamal and Gedan peninsulas in northwestern Siberia, carving eerie scars into the landscape. Scientists were baffled. Meteor strikes? Alien landings? Underground weapons tests? Many theories emerged, but none fully explained the phenomenon, until recently. The leading theory now points to a disturbing combination: human-driven climate change and the unique geology of Siberia's permafrost. According to researchers, gas trapped beneath the frozen tundra builds up pressure over time. As the permafrost weakens due to rising temperatures, that pressure eventually bursts, triggering a violent explosion and launching dirt, ice, and mud into the air, leaving behind a massive crater. But not everyone agrees. Anna Morgado, a chemical engineer from the University of Cambridge, describes the process like inflating a tire until it bursts. She explains that there's no evidence of chemical combustion, only physical buildup of pressure. It's a chilling thought. The Earth itself is venting in explosive bursts caused by warming temperatures. However, others remain skeptical. Dr. Jack Benny Shavalin of the Skolkovo Institute of Science and Technology in Moscow questions whether the current explanation fits Siberia's complex geological structure. The theory is creative, he said, but too general. It doesn't explain all the variables at play. And so the mystery continues. What's triggering these violent gas eruptions? Could there be undiscovered forces beneath the tundra? Or is this just the beginning of what climate change will unleash in Earth's coldest corners? One thing is clear. Something is stirring beneath Siberia, and it's bursting to the surface in the most violent way imaginable. The Mammoth with Liquid Blood, a frozen time capsule. In 2013, deep in the permafrost of a remote Siberian island, Russian scientists made an extraordinary discovery, one that left even veteran researchers stunned. Led by paleontologist Semyon Grigoriev, the team uncovered the frozen remains of a woolly mammoth, estimated to be around 60 years old at the time of death. What shocked them most wasn't just the remarkably preserved body, it was what they found inside. As they chipped away at the surrounding ice with a pickaxe, something unexpected happened. Dark, liquid blood began to pour out. Let that sink in. Blood that had remained in liquid form for over 10,000 years. The temperatures in the region had remained around -10 degrees Celsius, well below freezing, raising questions about how the blood stayed fluid. Grigoriev speculated that mammoth blood may have had cryoprotective properties, natural antifreeze that helped the animal survive its icy habitat. Incredibly, they also found red muscle tissue that looked like fresh meat. According to the Northeastern Federal University in Yakutsk, this was one of the most astonishing discoveries ever made in mammoth research. "It's the most amazing case of my life," Grigoriev said. Grigoriev had already gained attention for previous mammoth discoveries, including remains believed to contain bone marrow. But this latest find reignited global debate on something even more controversial: cloning. Could this be the key to bringing back the woolly mammoth? While some see it as a scientific miracle, others warn of unintended consequences. A science editor commented bluntly, "This find could revolutionize our understanding of mammoth physiology. But when it comes to bringing this extinct creature back, de-extinction is a very bad idea." Whether a scientific breakthrough or a chilling glimpse into the past, this frozen giant may have secrets still waiting to be revealed. Secrets held for millennia beneath the ice of Siberia. The Patomskiy crater, Siberia's forbidden dome. Hidden deep within the forests of southeastern Siberia lies one of the strangest geological mysteries on Earth. A massive cone-shaped mound that rises from the ground like a scar etched into the planet. It's called the Patomskiy crater, but despite the name, it's not a typical crater. It looks more like a rocky dome, about 525 feet wide at its base and standing nearly 130 feet tall. At the top, a ring-shaped ridge surrounds a smaller inner cone, around 40 feet high, giving it a strange, almost alien appearance. Local tribes have known about it for centuries, but the scientific community only became aware of it in 1949, when geologist Vadim Kolpakov discovered it during an expedition. Even today, it continues to baffle experts. How did this thing even get here? One early theory suggested it might be the impact site of a meteorite, one with a dense core that buried itself deep underground. Others speculated it could be a remnant of the Tunguska event, which happened just 675 kilometers away. Some believed it was caused by volcanic activity, or even a violent underground gas explosion. Locals have long believed the place is cursed. Animals avoid it. Even birds refuse to fly over it. In 2010, at a major scientific conference in St. Petersburg, a team of Russian geologists rejected the meteorite theory entirely, stating that no impact fragments or extraterrestrial materials had ever been found. And so, the mystery remains. Formed around 300 years ago, the Patomskiy crater still stands in silence in the Siberian wilderness, a monument to an unknown force, a riddle carved into the earth that science has yet to solve. Ancient nanostructures found in the Ural Mountains. The Ural Mountains, a vast range that forms the natural boundary between Europe and Asia, are not just a geographical divide. They might also be the key to one of the most mysterious discoveries in history. Back in 1991, along the banks of several remote Russian rivers, a team of researchers made a stunning find. Tiny metal artifacts, spirals, shafts, and coils were uncovered in the soil. Some were no larger than a few millimeters. The larger pieces, mostly made of copper, measured up to 1.2 inches. But the smallest ones, made of molybdenum and tungsten, were just 0.1 inches across. And here's where it gets strange. Many of these microstructures were built with exact proportions of the golden ratio, suggesting they were intentionally manufactured, not naturally formed. Skeptics have proposed that these might be fragments from old Soviet rockets, since the Plesetsk Cosmodrome isn't far away. But a study from the Moscow Institute of Technology concluded these objects are far too ancient to be from any modern source. Then, in 1996, a report from Moscow's Central Scientific Research Department on Geology and Precious Metals stated clearly, "These items are of technological origin, despite being buried in geological layers estimated to be between 20,000 and 318,000 years old." Let that sink in. Tiny metallic objects, built with precision, buried for hundreds of thousands of years. And no one can explain who made them, or how. Some believe this is evidence of a lost advanced civilization, one that may have had technology far beyond what we have today. Others suggest something even more incredible, that these micro-artifacts might be proof of ancient extraterrestrial visitors. The Dyatlov Pass incident, Russia's most chilling mystery. In February of 1959, 9 experienced Soviet hikers mysteriously perished in the Ural Mountains under circumstances that remain deeply unsettling to this day. The group had set up camp on the snowy slopes of Kholat Syakhl, but something forced them to tear out of their tent in the middle of the night, into the freezing wilderness, without proper clothing, amid a brutal snowstorm. When rescuers finally found their bodies, the scene was nightmarish. 6 had died of hypothermia, but the remaining 3, their injuries were horrific. 1 had a shattered skull, 2 had massive chest trauma, comparable to the force of a car crash. 1 was missing their tongue, others had no eyes, and 1 even had missing eyebrows. What could have caused such chaos? Speculations have ranged from the rational to the bizarre: a violent avalanche, a military weapons test, a Yeti attack, exposure to infrasound that triggered irrational panic. Even UFOs have been blamed. In 2020, the Russian government reopened the investigation and concluded the deaths were caused by hypothermia following a slab avalanche, a rare type of snowslide that may explain some of the blunt force injuries. A study published in 2021 by scientists from ETH Zurich supported this theory, suggesting that a slab avalanche could have triggered catastrophic damage to the tent and the hikers' bodies, forcing them to flee into the cold. Still, not everyone is convinced. Some experts argue that the injuries don't quite match known avalanche patterns, and many believe there's more to the story. As Andrei Kurakov, deputy head of the Russian prosecutor's office, stated, "It was a heroic struggle. There was no panic, but they had no chance." Today, the area where they died is known as Dyatlov Pass, named in honor of the group's leader, Igor Dyatlov. A rocky outcrop near the campsite serves as a solemn memorial, a haunting reminder of a mystery that continues to chill investigators and truth seekers alike. We hope you found this video fascinating. If you have anything to add, please share it with us in the comments below. Don't forget to like this video and send the link to your family and best friends so they too can learn about some of the strangest discoveries in Siberia, mysteries that science still can't explain. If you're new here, be sure to subscribe for more intriguing content like this.